So if you don't have enough soldiers, you have a problem. Germany was fighting on the Russian front. They were fighting in Italy. They had forces in Norway. They were spread all over the place. So they had put forces in these fortresses, and the concept was to gain time, just enough time if the Allies came ashore, so that the German panzers, the German tanks, could then counterattack. Now, we were able to do some really interesting things to stop those German counterattacks, especially those German tanks, and that was the purpose of the airborne, was to get behind the beaches, particularly behind in the American sector, Utah Beach, and to take road junctions and seize bridges and make sure the enemy couldn't counterattack. And they did a superb job, even though they were scattered everywhere and took heavy casualties on the first night of a very chaotic and a very bloody night airborne drop. But in the morning at 06:30, that was when the first wave of U.S. forces and Canadian and British forces were going to hit the 5 beaches on the Normandy coast. And the American beaches were Utah Beach and then Omaha Beach. Omaha Beach was the bloody one. That was called Bloody Omaha. And the concept was that the air power would come in and plaster this beach and kill all the Germans. And that then the big battleships would pound that beach with their 12-inch guns and just annihilate those fortifications and blow them away. And then you would take these flat-bottom Higgins boats, these LCIs and LCAs, and just bring in troops so fast that you'd overwhelm the enemy, and the enemy would be stunned anyway. But here's one of the secrets of D-Day. No matter how hard you plan, no matter how smart you think you are, in war, things go bad. On Omaha Beach, we had B-24 bombers, big 4-engine bombers, and B-17 bombers, each with tons of bombs, dropping wave after wave of bombs. And every single bomb missed the beach.
Where did they go? Where did they end up hitting?
Well, what happened was, remember this earlier, I told you how there was, over the land, there was this cloud cover. What happened was the cloud cover was thicker than they could see through. So when you're a B-17 bomber and you're going to drop a whole bunch of bombs, and we're doing this 30 minutes at 6 o'clock, 30 minutes before the landing, you don't want to bomb short. Because if you do,
because you'll hit the fleet.
So they waited a few seconds, and they all dropped behind the beachhead, behind the German defenses, killed a lot of cows. Didn't kill hardly any Germans. The B-24s and the B-17s were flying so high and were dropping so many bombs that all of that hit beyond. The naval gunfire support was the same way. With 8-foot swells, they were bouncing up and down as much as the landing craft were. So they tried to fire, and most of their shells missed Omaha Beach as well. Now, we had much better success on Utah Beach, where medium bombers came in at treetop level and nailed them. In fact, Major Dewhurst, the father of the Texas, the previous
Lieutenant Governor,
right, Lieutenant Governor, his father flew in one of those B-26 squadrons at treetop level and knocked out the fortifications with his bombs right in front of Utah Beach.
Wow.
It was precision fire, and what he did was amazing. It saved hundreds of lives.
We are discussing D-Day, and we're going to continue after the top of the hour with Colonel John Antel, U.S. Army retired. He is, as you know, a military historian par excellence. He knows this inside, outside, upside down. And you're going to learn things about D-Day that you have never heard before as we continue into the night. Here on 660 AM The Answer, you are listening to The Wells Report.
This is a message for everyone who suffers from tinnitus, the constant ringing or buzzing in your ears. Right now, Ringaway is inviting you to participate in a special nationwide giveaway of a new breakthrough that combats ear ringing. That's right, we're giving away free bottles of this fast-acting breakthrough to everyone who calls in the next 10 minutes. Just call 1-800-448-1916. If lines are busy, try again. This is an exclusive radio-only offer. Ringaway is our #1 product for ear ringing, and there's nothing like it. Powered by fast-acting, doctor-recommended ingredients, it's scientifically designed to combat ear ringing and buzzing, so you can work and sleep in peace. But you can only get a free bottle by calling now. Take part in this special nationwide giveaway and see for yourself. If you want the ringing to stop, call now for details and participate in this special nationwide giveaway of Ringaway. For your free bottle, just call in the next 10 minutes. 1-800-448-1916. Hurry, supplies are limited. 1-800-448-1916.
Have you ever noticed that every time the subject of immigration comes up, the conversation just never seems to go anywhere? Our border remains porous, and we want a fence. But a fence, we're told from the people who live in gated communities, just won't work. And so the issue dies, and in a nutshell, nothing changes. Hey, this is Mike Gallagher. Most of you are familiar with my friend Ann Coulter and her no-holds-barred approach to the issues and challenges facing the country we all love. Well, she's at it again. And in Adios, America, Ann is at her provocative best, trying to stop the left from turning our country into a third world hellhole. But she's providing our nation the provocative conversation we need to have. And we need to have it now. Grab a copy of Ann's book and let's start that conversation today.
Adios, America. The left's plan to turn our country into a third world hellhole from Ann Coulter is out now from Regnery Publishing and available at Amazon.com. Barnes & Noble, and bookstores everywhere.
This year, the stock market has hit new highs, but are you prepared for when the bubble does pop?
This is Ken Murray, host of the Money Matters radio show, inviting you to our free seminar.
Choose 1 p.m. Saturday, June 20th in Plano, Thursday, June 25th in the Alliance Gateway area, and Tuesday, June 30th in Denton. Ken Murray was featured on Fox Business News. Clients had followed his advice were out of the market for all of 2008. Register at moneymatters.net. That's moneymatters.net or call 800-994-0302.
This is 660 AM, The Answer. A service of Salem Media Group on the NASDAQ as SALM. KSKY, Balch Springs, Dallas, Fort Worth. 660 AM, The Answer.
Fox News Radio, I'm Gary Baumgarten. It's not the kind of news people in rain-soaked areas of Texas want to hear. More flooding may be on the way.
The swift rising Trinity River is causing more trouble for Texans, and the river is not done rising.
It's still on the rise as far as they're saying today.
Farmers and ranchers are using boats to move their livestock to higher ground.
Fox News Radio's Karen McHugh, and in Arkansas, emergency officials telling the 242 residents of Garland City to evacuate because floodwaters are threatening to undermine a levee along the Red River. In Putnam County, Indiana, people expressing shock over the news that a man is charged with molesting girls at his wife's in-home unlicensed daycare.
I would not harm a kid. I'd beat the crap out of somebody if I caught him doing it. It's wrong. You don't harm a kid.
That's the accused man, Michael Nussbaum. Neighbors say they didn't even know that there was a daycare in the home. Fox News, we report, you decide.
660 AM, The Answer. Mike Gallagher needs would-be Hillary voters to stop and think.
57% of voters to a CNN poll say she is dishonest. Hey, Hillary supporters, I'm talking to you. Would you pull the lever and say she's a Democrat, so I'm going to vote for her even though I believe her to be dishonest? Are you kidding me?
The Mike Gallagher Show, weekdays at 10, right before Dennis Prager at noon on 660 AM, The Answer.
Hi, this is Howard Garrett, the Dirt Doctor. I'd like for you to join me on my talk show this weekend. What I do is teach people how to go the natural, organic route. I stir up trouble, too, because I throw out some things that a lot of people just don't think are correct. You know what? We have a lot of experience to back up what we recommend. Have healthier gardens and more fun gardening. Join me this and every weekend.
Join Howard Garrett, the Dirt Doctor, every Sunday morning from 8 a.m. to 11 a.m. right here on 660 a.m. The Answer.
This is Michael Medved for townhall.com. Fox News made the unfortunate decision to limit the first Republican debate scheduled for 2 months from now to 10 participants based on their standing in national polls. This will exclude some worthy contenders on a flimsy basis, including a candidate with 4% support, while a rival with 3% support is excluded. Given that the margin of error in most polls, their admitted rate of inaccuracy, is at least 3 to 6%, this makes no sense at all. Also, 10 candidates on stage is far too many, since each prospective president will be limited to 5 minutes maximum to discuss all the big issues. A much better plan would be something like this. The candidates should draw lots, dividing into 3 debates with 5 debaters each. As candidates quit the race, this can shrink to 2 groups of debaters, with eventually all survivors on stage together. It's not too late to restructure debate plans for the sake of the party and the country. I'm Michael Medved.
How are we supposed to balance the budget when our appliances keep breaking down? Last month, it was the air conditioner. Before that, the refrigerator. What's it going to be next month?
It's hard enough these days trying to keep a balanced household budget. It's even harder when a home appliance or system breaks down unexpectedly. The repair bill could set you back months. But buying a home warranty from American Home Shield helps protect your budget against those unexpected costs because they help pay covered repairs for you. Your air conditioner, plumbing, oven, refrigerator, water heater, and more. For helpful free information, go to ahs.com or call 1-800-322-4147. Service requests are subject to a fee for each trade call. Some exclusions and limitations apply. The truth is, home appliances and systems do break down. So why not get a home warranty and let American Home Shield help pay covered repair bills for you? For helpful free information, including terms, rates, and coverage, go to ahs.com. That's ahs.com. Or call 1-800-322-4147.
Hi, this is Jon-David Wells from The Wells Report for my good friend Walt Parker. Walter, you know, you picked kind of a silly name for a very serious business.
Yes, I hear that a lot, JD. But our goal is to allow our customers to not get sick when they are investing. We give them the education they need to make confident decisions about their future. Here are my personal top 5 reasons how investingmakesmesick.com can help you. 1, there's more to investing than stocks, bonds, mutual funds, and annuities. 2, every client is important to us. 3, knowledge is power, and we can provide that knowledge. 4, every investor is different, and we have many different options for each person. 5, we value your time and offer our We Come to You service.
What are your top 5 reasons for investing? Schedule an appointment with Walt Parker and his team at 972-463-3833. That's 972-463-3833. Or check out their all-new website at investingmakesmesick.com. Securities and investment advisory services offered through Titan Securities. Member of FINRA SIPC. Investment subject to suitability. Risk and expenses may apply. Investingmakesmesick.com and Titan Securities are not affiliated.
People who can afford a LASIK procedure sure are lucky. Imagine being able to throw away your contacts and glasses. Imagine waking up tomorrow with 20/20 vision. Too bad everyone can't afford LASIK. Well, guess what? There's a company that agrees with you. The LASIK Vision Institute is now offering dramatically low prices on high-quality LASIK to make it affordable for everyone. That means you get the latest FDA-approved LASIK technology for a fraction of what others charge. And if you call right now, we'll schedule a free appointment so you can discover if LASIK is right for you. Results may vary. Call 1-800-700-2629. Even better, if you're one of the first 100 callers, ask about an extra 20% discount off our already low-cost services. We've already performed over 1 million procedures. Let us help you. Discover how you can get the quality LASIK experience you deserve at a fraction of what others charge. For your free appointment, call 1-800-700-2629. 1-800-700-2629.
Hi, I'm Larry Patterson, owner of Glass Doctor. In our disposable society, we're conditioned to throw out the whole thing when just one part goes bad. Like when the insulated glass windows in your home get condensation between the panes. You don't need to replace the whole window. The specialists at Glass Doctor can install new insulated glass in your existing frames with a lifetime warranty for a lot less than you might think. To see how quick and easy it is, visit glassdoctor.com today. That's glassdoctor.com.
Call the Glass Doctor, we'll fix your paint. Oh, yeah.
660 AM. 660 AM. The Answer. 660 AM. TheAnswer.com. Is anybody out there paying attention to what's going on in this country, in this state, and in this city? We know one man who is. You got questions? He's got answers. This is The Wells Report with Jon-David Wells on 660 AM. The Answer.
You are listening to The Wells Report. My name is Jon-David Wells. We're going to spend the rest of this half hour before the Friday Flameout having Colonel John Entel, who is a military historian par excellence, tell us about D-Day. He knows about this. He knows about this invasion because he studied it. He also knows about this invasion because he is a legacy of the airborne soldiers that flew into D-Day on that longest of days. And he joins us now. Sir, once again, thanks very much for joining us. By the way, Colonel Entel is the author of 7 Leadership Lessons of the American Revolution, the Founding Fathers, Liberty, and the Struggle for Independence. You can find out more about Colonel John Entel and his book at American-leadership.com. So, sir, there was some success. The B-26 bombers were very, very, very fast. They were made of wood. They came in virtually hugging the ocean and obliterated to a large degree the defenses on Utah Beach. Still,
that's correct.
Still no bargain. There were lots of casualties on Utah.
Well, compared to Omaha, Utah Beach was not that bad.
Right.
Let's go through Utah Beach real quick, because this is an amazing story. They were coming into Utah Beach, and the smoke from some of the bombing obscured the beach area. And in the first wave of the 4th Infantry Division soldiers that are in those landing craft, those Higgin boats, those LCIs I told you about, is a brigadier general. And his name is Theodore Roosevelt Jr.
Wow.
And he is the son of Teddy Roosevelt. And he is in his 50s. He has arthritis. He has all sorts of other health issues. He shouldn't be there. And his division commander, because he's the number 2 in the division, his division commander said, "You should not be in this, and I won't let you." He wrote 5 letters, and on the 5th letter to the general, in writing, he put this. He says, "I must go." And finally, he let him go. And he said, "The troops expect us to lead from the front. They expect us to be with them." And he was. So he's there in the first wave on Utah Beach. Now, as he's coming up on Utah Beach, the B-26s are coming down. The naval gunfire support has had a better chance on Utah Beach to knock out some of the positions. But those B-26s were like the precision-guided weapons of their day, because they could see, and they came down so low that some of the Germans had to duck.
Wow.
And they dropped their bombs so low that the pilots and the crew were afraid that B-26 would explode from the explosion.
They were going to take, it was quite literally possible that they would take fragments.
Exactly. And that's why Major Dewhurst's flight was amazing, because they came in right over a thing called the Wildernest, which is a 360-degree defensive position that the Germans had set up. And they had set these things up so that they could fire on Utah Beach, and they had enfilade fire, which means they could fire down the flanks and you couldn't see them. And they also had some of the first robotic vehicles in history to use in warfare.
Whoa, I didn't know that.
That's right. These German positions had a thing called a Goliath, and it was simply a tractor. It looked like a little tank without a turret. It was about the size of an Austin Mini. It had about 500 to 1,000 pounds of explosive in it. It ran with a wire and a joystick, basically almost like a PS1 controller in the old days. And these guys the wire would roll out behind it, and they would just drive these things up to the landing craft and blow them up. That was the plan. They had an entire platoon of these things there. But the B-26s hit those positions just before Roosevelt and his men landed. And when they did that, they totally stunned the Germans, and every one of those Goliaths were either knocked out, or the operators were killed, or the sand got in them and they couldn't operate. So the 4th Infantry Division landed with Roosevelt there and took very few casualties on Utah Beach. They hit that beach. They overran the position. They immediately started moving to the edge of the seawall. They took it. Roosevelt was there. He had a helmet on and he took it off. He didn't like wearing a helmet. He wore a little Jeep cap. He has a cane. That's his only weapon.
Golly.
He has a 45 caliber pistol. But he's wearing a cane because he can barely walk. So he's out there with a cane, and they say, "Sir, we're at the wrong beach." And he gets out the map and says, "Sure enough, we're at the wrong beach." So now the question is, what do you do? All of the replacements, all of the second wave, all the third wave, all the fuel, the ammo, everything is going to come to the right beach. What do you do?
Get to the right beach.
But the general's on the beach, and he's got a foothold. So he says, "We're starting the war from right here."
There you go.
He gets on the radio and he says, "Everybody change orders, follow us. Come to where we are." And they did. Now, it was an amazing thing. If he had not been there, if a colonel had been there, he might have said, "I don't have authority to do this."
Right.
Or he might have done it. We don't know. But Roosevelt was there, and that made the difference. And for what he did that day, he was awarded the Medal of Honor.
Unbelievable.
And he is buried at Koval-Samur in Norgers because he died about 2 weeks later of a heart attack.
Unbelievable.
But he did a tremendous thing that day, and his men then got in, and they were there to get in and meet up with the airborne, and then head off towards Cherbourg, which was off to the west. And so that was the first beach that we had a success in, but Omaha Beach was totally different.
Omaha Beach, yeah.
Bloody Omaha.
Yeah.
On Omaha Beach, we had the 29th Division coming in on the right, and we had the 1st Infantry Division, Veteran Division coming in on the left. The 29th was relatively green. Very few of those soldiers had ever seen any combat. About 98% of them were green. And they were supposed to be preceded first by frogmen. Basically, these were the Navy SEALs of their day, the UDT teams that were going to blow up the obstacles, because Erwin Rommel, who was in charge of the defensive positions in Normandy, had sown the battlefield in Omaha and Utah with thousands of anti-ship obstacles and mines. It was a complete minefield, and they had all of these obstacles up. And what was really interesting was that the plan at Omaha Beach was that every one of those obstacles would have a teller mine, a big, huge anti-tank mine on them next week. But they hadn't done it yet.
Wow.
So there were a lot of mines there, but they weren't as many as there would have been. The frogmen were supposed to come in and do this, but the waves were so bad that the ships were bounced all over, and the whole alignment of getting everybody there didn't happen. And right behind them was supposed to come swimming tanks that floated. No kidding.
I remember seeing those. Those were M4 Shermans that had these great big skirts.
Yes, they had these. They were canvas skirts.
Yeah.
Basically, you were in a bucket. So the tank had these 6 feet to 8 foot wall of canvas around it with these big air intake things and 2 propellers on the back. And these soldiers had trained for 2 years, and they had trained in primarily calm waters.
Yeah.
So there were 2 battalions, the 741st Tank Battalion and the 743rd. And the 741st came in on the left, and they launched 6,000 meters away from the beach.
Wow, that's miles.
Yes, and every one of them but 2 sank.
Good heavens.
And most of the crews drowned.
Well, of course, there's no way to get out.
And everyone had orders not to pick up anyone, to keep going into the beach. So even though there were people in the water, you couldn't stop to pick them up because you had to get into the beach. So some of those soldiers who survived stayed in the water for 24 hours. And so if they were wounded or frozen, they died because it was cold.
Yeah.
What people don't realize is in Normandy in June, the weather may be nice inland, but man, that English Channel is frigid, and you're soaked to the bone. And they're on these boats. Well, the other tank battalion, the 743rd, comes in. They see that the 741st is sinking, so they don't try to swim. They bring their tanks right in, and there were 56 tanks in that battalion. 4 of them were destroyed as they were coming in because they were hit by a German 88 cannon, but the others got in. So when people say there were no tanks on Omaha Beach, they don't know what they're talking about.
Right.
There were 52 tanks from the 743rd, and they made a huge difference, and 2 tanks from the 741st. But the reason that happens is because in the Army, military historians are assigned to divisions, and these were independent tank battalions. And the independent tank battalions don't have any historians. So when you're writing the history, you don't talk about the independent tank battalions, and most people don't know it. It's true, you can find it in the books. It's there. They just don't write about it.
Interesting.
So what's really interesting also is the breakdown that happened. Because none of the artillery hit the beach and none of the bombers hit the beach, when the tanks hit the beach, they were the main target, and everybody started to hit them. And as soon as they hit the beach, the first wave of infantry hit the beach. Now, the most killing weapon the German had at the time, mortars were dropping everywhere, and they made a huge swath of death wherever they hit, mostly 81 millimeter mortars, some bigger. They also had cannon that were firing on the beach. And we had some special operations guys, Rangers and others, to take those out in other places like the Point de Hoc. But one of the things that happened here was the German MG-42 machine gun was the best machine gun in the world. It fires 1,200 rounds a minute.
A bullet hose.
Well, exactly right. It's like a shotgun of bullets. And it would fire for 3 minutes, and then the barrel would have to be changed. And they had a quick change barrel situation, but that took about 5 minutes to change the barrel and then reload. But they were firing at a tremendous rate and just slaughtering our guys as they were opening the ramps and coming in. Now, the tanks continued to move, but they couldn't get through the obstacles. And then there was 3 or 4, there were these important defiles that you had to break through to get off the beach. And every one of those defiles was heavily mined and heavily obstacled so that the tanks couldn't get up until the explosives were brought up and those obstacles were destroyed. So the tanks were there shooting. In fact, many of them, after a while, decided to play dead because they were getting slaughtered. If they started shooting German anti-tank guns, would knock them out.
And those 88s is what they used, and
Exactly.
those were murderous weapons in a direct fire mode.
And the commander of that battalion, of the 743rd Battalion, who earned the Distinguished Service Cross on D-Day, John Upham, He was in his LCA, a landing craft, and he was behind watching his tanks go ashore because the plan, he had been ordered, all the commanders had been ordered to stay in their landing craft and be on the radio and tell everybody what to do because they could see better from there. Well, he couldn't see hardly anything, and none of the radios worked. So he beached his landing craft, got out on foot, went from tank to tank, beating on the side of the tank, telling the tanks where to shoot. And he told them to shoot with their white phosphorus and concrete defeating rounds at the enemy bunkers. And none of the radios on the beach were working. Nobody could talk to the ships. And just at that time, destroyers and cruisers came in really close. Some destroyers came in so close to support the beachhead that they almost ran aground. The Navy was tremendous that day. But they didn't know what to shoot at because they couldn't see through the smoke very well. And the high ground above Omaha Beach was just, you couldn't see it. And the Germans had set up their guns in enfilade, so they were hidden from the front, but fired on the flank. But the tanks could see them, and so they fired their white phosphorus rounds, which blow up in a puff of smoke. And when they saw that, the Navy said, look, the tankers are shooting at that. There must be something there. And they started shooting, and that's how we knocked them out.
Amazing.
And then the Rangers came forward, and there was a brigadier general on the beach, part of the 29th Division, and he got out there, Norman Cotta, an amazing guy, and he said he saw the Rangers come in, and the Rangers came in on the third wave, and they were supposed to have gone to Pointe du Hoc, but they had been, but the signal had never happened, so they couldn't go there. So they came into Omaha Beach to reinforce it. Cotta said, "Rangers lead the way," which is the motto of the U.S. Army Rangers. Get up there and go through there and take those high ground. And the Rangers then saw with the tanks knocking out those bunkers, they moved up and they got in behind the beach and started knocking out the Germans. And that's how by noon we took Omaha Beach.
You're listening to the Wells Report. My name is Jon-David Wells. We're taking you step by step through the invasion known as D-Day, H hour. 15,000 men would lose their lives that day. We'll tell you how the beachhead was secured and how the invasion moved forward when we return. You're listening to the Wells Report. This is 660 AM The Answer.
This is Dan Tullis, and I just called Joel Clark, one of Select Quote Insurance Services' term life agents.
Hi, Mr. Tullis.
Joel, how does Select Quote save you money on term life insurance?
Well, buying term life insurance is all about choosing the right company. Let's say you take antidepressants or you smoke. All insurance companies are going to price that differently. We'll impartially shop all the companies we represent to find you the best price.
Can you give me an example?
Sure. I just got a man, 40 years old, on cholesterol medication, a $500,000 policy with a highly rated insurance company. His price, $22 a month.
Call 1-800-919-8949 and see how affordable term life insurance can be. That's 1-800-919-8949. 1-800-919-8949. Or go to selectquote.com. We shop, you save. Get full details on the example policy at selectquote.com/commercials. Your price could vary depending on your health, issuing company, and other factors. Not available in all states.
Hi, I'm Tom Kidd, engineering graduate of Texas A&M and owner of Structured Foundation Repairs. Our number is 972-484-1200. Our motto is to do the right thing. In some respects, it's hard being the company that always does the right thing. But for our customers' sake, it's very important that we do. Being fully insured, as an example, costs us a lot of money, but it protects our customers. Having employees instead of day laborers is a huge responsibility, but our dedicated employees ensure that we do the best repairs we can. Managing a large office staff can be tedious, but they provide our customers a helpful voice when they need something urgent. Returning every phone call is time-consuming, but instills our customers with confidence that we will always be there when they need us. The Aggie Code of Honor states that Aggies don't lie, cheat, or steal, or tolerate those that do. That code was the principle our company was founded on, and it guides our daily operations. If this sounds like the kind of company you could trust to repair your foundation, call us today for a free evaluation at 972-484-1200 or click structuredfoundation.com.
Hey everybody, Mark Davis. Got an idea. How about if we make this the summer of you doing better on Wall Street? How do we do that? We get you into the upcoming seminars for New Venture on Wall Street, NVOWS.com. We have an Addison location and a Fort Worth location for the seminar weekend, the 19th and 20th of June. Weekend after that in Tyler. Learn more at NVOWS.com or a phone number I'll give you here in a second. It's a 2-day event. It's live. It's not a webinar. It's real people. It's great. It's upbeat. It's fun. And you'll leave this course confident in your ability to trade stocks better with more wisdom And New Venture is going to coach you along the way. It's not just seminar and then, see ya, have a nice life. Nope, they're going to stay with you, helping you along the way to make sure that you have kept in your head the stuff they've taught you. It'll enable you to retire earlier, get a second income stream, things we all want to do. So let me get you into these seminars at 877-907-TRADE. 877-907-TRADE. Addison and Fort Worth, 19th and 20th of June. Tyler the weekend after. 877-907-TRADE.
This is an announcement for all people who want to take a risk-free challenge to whiten their teeth in 5 minutes. By calling now, you can whiten your teeth in 5 minutes using clinically proven power swabs. This risk-free challenge is for people whose smile has been yellowed by coffee, tea, red wine, or smoking. The Power Swabs 5-minute challenge is available by responding to this advertisement. If lines are busy, try again. Because the Power Swabs 5-minute challenge is exclusive, it's not available in drugstores. Power Swabs was formulated by Dr. Martin Ginniger and whitens teeth with a patented tooth detergent and whitening agent. It's so effective, we challenge you to try it for 5 minutes to see how white your smile could be. Get it risk-free. Dial 1-800-281-4037. That's 1-800-281-4037. Transform your smile into a wow, you look great smile. Dial 1-800-281-4037. That's 1-800-281-4037.
Hey, Mike Krejci here, sales manager of 660 AM The Answer, and it's that time of year again, the time when we support one of our favorite charities, Cure International. These are the folks that help heal sick children in countries all around the world. Now, how can you help? Well, you can go to 660amtheanswer.com and donate to this awesome cause. They'd certainly appreciate anything you can give. But if you are a business owner, we are offering a special program. It's called the Business Benefactor. What you do is donate $2,800 to Cure International. In exchange, you'll get an advertising campaign on 660 AM The Answer to run during the next 90 days absolutely free. So you'll be helping your business and Cure International all at the same time. It's really a win-win. We have a terrific team that writes and produces the commercials for you, and we get it on the air. It's really easy. But today is the last day we are offering this program, so you have to call me today. My number is 214-561-2164. That's 214-561-2164. One last time, 214-561-2164. Thank you.
660 AM, The Answer. 660 AM, TheAnswer.com. The Wells Report is on 660 AM, The Answer.
You are listening to the Wells Report. My name is Jon-David Wells. Colonel John Antel joins us, U.S. Army retired. The military strategic analyst for the Wells Report, Tank Officer, Airborne Ranger. And fresh back from Fort Hood, where he got to teach leadership with the Brave Rifles down there. Sir, thanks again for joining us tonight. I know it's late, but we sure do appreciate your telling us about D-Day.
Jon-David, it's a story that I'm happy to tell because we as Americans need to realize how important our freedom is and how much that greatest generation realized this and committed to that freedom.
At the end of Saving Private Ryan, the Tom Hanks character, Captain Miller,
yes,
grabs the Matt Damon, who's playing Private Ryan, grabs him by the uniform, looks him in the eyes as he dies, and says, "Earn this."
That's right.
This is something that you felt when you look over the cemeteries kept immaculate by the French, as you have gone to D-Day on several occasions, correct?
Yes, and by the way, that is American territory. So that is kept immaculate by the American Battle Monuments Commission. We do pay Frenchmen to do this, and some of the really wonderful French curators of that area. It's run by Americans, but there are many French employees, and some of those have been employees for generations. It's amazing.
That's awesome. Okay, so they've landed on the beach. They've been able to work their way inland. And what happens as the day wears on? I mean, as the German emplacements are being defeated one by one in the couple of minutes we have left, what happens as the day wears on?
Well, it's an amazing story. General Omar Bradley, the commander of all the U.S. forces in the invasion, said he's the overall Army commander. He says that every man who touched foot on Omaha Beach was a hero, and that's absolutely true. Some soldiers didn't get a chance to fire their weapons. Some soldiers made it all the way to the bluffs. When you stand there at the low tide level, and you see where they landed, and you look up at those hills, you and I would have a hard time double timing that far and getting up those hills. We would be absolutely winded, and we would not make it fast. Imagine wearing 60 pounds of equipment, carrying a Browning automatic rifle, gas mask, helmet, rations, the whole bit. These soldiers did a tremendous thing that day, and those who survived all knew how blessed they were just to make it. We basically took that beach by about sometime in the afternoon, depending on where you were along the beachhead. But we didn't move much beyond that beachhead for another day. We had soldiers moving out in different patrols, but it was a tough fight. And the Germans that were finally killed and captured there were very few compared to how many had been, we had been coming against. But their weapons and their defensive positions gave them the strength beyond their numbers. But the Americans who fought there then, that wasn't the end of the war. That was just the first day.
Just the beginning.
That's right. And from there, they had to move out. And one of the critical things they had to do was link Utah Beach with Omaha Beach. And they weren't able to do that until about the 13th and 14th of June. In fact, yes, and Carentan is a town that was the linchpin of all that, and it was a horrendous fight to get in there and take that. And if you've seen Band of Brothers, there's the third episode, I believe, is Carentan, and it tells you a little bit about how that was done.
In the meantime, the airborne troops are moving toward the beach. They're engaging odd German units falling back, I imagine.
They're moving in both ways. Some airborne troops, like the 502nd, were ordered to take the causeways that were off of Utah Beach. There were no paratroopers behind Omaha Beach, which is one of the reasons the casualties were so high. All the airborne, 82nd and 101st, landed behind Utah Beach because Utah Beach and Omaha Beach were divided by an estuary, the Duve Estuary.
Sir,
so the thought was that if the Utah Beach was isolated, it would be destroyed.
You're finishing up 7 leadership lessons of D-Day.
I am.
That goes with 7 leadership lessons of the American Revolution. I can hardly wait for the book. Again, if you want to know more about Colonel Jon Antel, go to american-leadership.com. Sir, it's always a privilege to get this information from you. You've taught me so much in such a little amount of time. I sincerely appreciate it.
Jon-David, it's my honor, and I just hope that everybody tomorrow on the 6th of June will just take a moment just to say a prayer for the greatest generation and all they did, and all this great generation today of our soldiers, sailors, airmen, Marines are doing to save and defend the Republic.
This is the Wells Report.
Dennis Prager believes you must think about your kids first.
I can't really put myself in a place of if my father had become a woman, how I would have reacted. Or for that matter, the thought on my children if I became a woman. There's a lot more in life than my happiness. I'm not saying he shouldn't have done it, but there was a lot more in life than my own pursuit of happiness.
The Dennis Prager Show, weekdays at noon, right before Sean Hannity at 2 on 660 AM. The Answer.
If your credit card debt is out of control, if you're in over your head dealing with monthly payments, there's a powerful secret that credit card companies don't want you to know. If you have more than $5,000 in credit card debt, you have the right to settle that debt for a fraction of what you owe. That's bad news for credit card companies, but it's great news for you. We're Debt Relief Advocates, and we're offering you free information on how to virtually eliminate your credit card debt and make your monthly payment affordable. To see how much you could save, call now, 1-800-791-6811. Don't declare bankruptcy. Give us 10 minutes and we could save you thousands. We depend on your success and offer a guarantee, so there's no risk. Find out how easy it is by calling now. For the secret the credit card companies don't want you to know, call Debt Relief Advocates now and see how much money you could save for free. 1-800-791-6811. That's 1-800-791-6811. 1-800-791-6811.
In the early 60s, Dolores and Ray Butcher and their 3 daughters earned a trip to Disneyland by collecting S&H green stamps. It was a dream come true. Today, nearly everyone has a wallet or keychain full of loyalty reward cards that they use for discounts, gifts, and even free dinners at their favorite restaurants. For years, an international company has been offering a universal loyalty rewards card in Europe. We call it the Blue Card, one card to replace dozens. The Blue Card offers discounts up to 5% cash back. It even accumulates points to shop at participating merchants and an online mall. Today, they're looking for independent representatives to launch this card in the U.S. and Canada. It is free to get the card and free to become a representative. You could help launch the Blue Card in your area and get paid wherever it is used. Imagine you could be paid every time someone fills their gas tank, buys groceries, orders an airline ticket, or purchases just about anything.
To get your free Blue Card, go to bluecardshopping.com. That's bluecardshopping.com. bluecardshopping.com. You're on vacation when you feel it pop. Your tooth just broke. You're 1,000 miles from your regular dentist, so this is going to cost a small fortune. But not if you have the Dental and Vision Plus plan from MyDiscountHealth.com. Get discounts of 5 to 60% at participating providers all over the U.S. With MyDiscountHealth.com, save on routine exams, cleanings, even major work like dentures and root canals. The plan at MyDiscountHealth.com comes with discounts on prescription drugs, eyeglasses, and more, all for only $13 per month. Medicare doesn't cover dental work, so this is perfect for you. Learn more. Call 844-450-2273. That's 844-450-2273. This plan is not insurance. Members pay participating providers and receive discounts immediately. Savings will vary by provider and service. Cancel within 30 days and get a full refund less processing fee. Discount Medical Plan Organization is Carrington International Corp., Frisco, Texas. This plan is not available in all areas. Call 844-450-2273 or go to MyDiscountHealth.com.
Lads, clearing out weeds is all about give and take. Hello, this is Scott for Scots. And what I mean is, you want to take those pesky weeds out, but to keep them out, you need to give your grass something in return, which is exactly what Scott's Turf Builder Weed and Feed does. It kills weeds while it feeds in thick and dure grass to help crowd out future invasions. To learn more about Scott's Turf Builder Weed and Feed, go to scotts.com. Weed your lawn and feed it.
You'll get more floor for less money at Lumber Liquidators with incredible deals and over 400 beautiful full warranty floors from just 49 cents. This week at 5-inch wide pre-finished oak hardwood for under $1, or exotic and gorgeous 3/4 inch solid pre-finished acacia. It's hard to find at other stores, but we've got it for $2.99. Plus, save as much as 45% on high quality laminate and vinyl wood plank, and get 12-month special financing. Get more floor for less money with unbelievable deals on top quality hardwood. Visit lumberliquidators.com today to find a store near you.
Geico is available 24/7, unlike Billy, my boyfriend, who is apparently available 24/never. And with Geico's claim status update, after I report a claim, I receive update alerts through my Geico app. Did you hear that, Billy? Update. Alerts. I sure would like to be updated on why you can't return a text. Maybe I should just be dating Geico.
Claim status updates just a few taps away on the Geico app.
660 AM, The Answer. Now, a Texas radio tradition, the Friday Flameout on the Wells Report on 660 AM, The Answer.
It's the Friday Flameout, your opportunity to whine, moan, groan, complain, right, browse, express your extreme displeasure with whatever is that drove you the craziest this week. Up to and including anything I may have said. I, your helpful, friendly, courteous, kind, crispy, brave, clean, and reverend announcer. Call us 866-660-5759. It's the Friday Flameout. I know. It's amazing. It's Friday Flameout. My name is Jon-David Wells, and this is where you get to complain about anything that you want to complain about. Even me. If you got to complain about me, no problem. You can do that. What? He wants to complain about me? I have? I've done some things he didn't like today? Huh. Well, like I said, if you have a complaint, you're perfectly fine. You can call me on the telephone. It may take me 28 minutes and 30 seconds to get to your call, Steve. So you'd only have 2.5 seconds to tell everybody what. Okay, that's not what I'm going to do. I'll just, okay, what, Steve? What? What did I do now?
Dude, you said ding dong tonight. Call anybody a ding dong these days, man. That was hilarious. Hey, wait, no. The Ross Perot. Really? Man, that was awesome. I had to hit the shoulder. I was laughing so hard.
Why are Americans allowing their government to act this way? Why don't they elect better people to take these offices like me? I can help this country.
Hey, take that and work the word ding dong in there, dude, and you'll see. Oh, I don't think I can handle it.
It's very simple that if people choose to elect another ding dong to be the president of the United States, I will not appreciate anything that comes out of the ding dong and his office.
Have a good weekend, sir. Thank you very much.
Thank you. It's been a long time since I pulled out the Ross Perot. You know, and I've always been very judicious in doing my impression of Ross Perot because he lives right down the road from where I live. Yeah, exactly. And because every time I do Ross Perot, my ears no longer fit my headphones. So
I do not believe that America is finished in any way, shape, or form.
And I'm not, it's all love. There is no mocking. No mocking. Okay. Jim in Denton, welcome to the Wells Report. It's time for your Friday Flameout, sir.
Good evening. How are you doing?
I'm wonderful. Thank you.
I'm trying to figure out, and maybe I'm just too dumb to understand it, but all we've been told is how much of a bastard and a ruthless dictator Assad is in Syria.
Yes.
And I'm trying to figure out how would he allow all these people to come in and basically take over half of his country? I mean,
he can't stop them.
Well, I mean, you could gas them, but I mean, it's like, you know, we were told that he was this evil, maniacal, you know, the new Hitler.
Right.
And all of a sudden, these people are just running all over him. I don't know what the deal is.
Well, except he's still in power. He's still in power of half the country.
I guess for now, but I don't know if they're going to boot him out and kill him. Or I don't know.
Well, look at it this way. You know, you want to be confused, okay?
I know. I want to be confused.
Well,
I'm trying to figure it out.
Yeah.
You know, so.
Well, if you want to be confused, think about this. Think about that when it comes to ISIS in Iraq, Iran and the United States are on the same side.
Oh yeah. That totally didn't make sense. But,
Exactly.
I mean, you know, it's just. Anyway.
I mean, yeah, but in Syria, we're on opposite sides. See, welcome to life in the Middle East. You see, this is what I keep telling people. When we went into Iraq, you have to stay in the country you're in for 2 generations.
Oh, of course.
Well, because you have to get everything running, and you have to keep doing what you're doing for 2 generations. That's anywhere between 40 and 60 years. That's how long we stayed in Japan. That's how long we stayed in Germany.
Yeah, we're still in Korea too. I mean,
we're still in Korea. Okay, so the thing about that is that that's the investment that you have to make, and that we destabilized the entire region and then left is akin to a war crime in my view. Because I was just talking to somebody tonight. Jim. When the United States isn't the world's policeman, ISIS will be.
Yeah, and when the United States isn't, there's no more policemen. It's a policeman that you don't want, and that's the ones that are taking over. But I mean, I was just confused because all of this stuff we heard leading up to the red line and all this. You know, he's this maniacal bastard that's going to kill everybody and gas them, and all of a sudden he's lost half his country. He hadn't done anything.
Yeah,
I mean, it's like, you know, who is this guy? I don't know. I'm sorry. I just
No. You're doing fine, Jim. I appreciate it. That's what the Friday Flameout's all about. Look, here's the situation here. President Obama's decision not to pursue the implied threat of the red line in Syria regarding Bashar al-Assad is going to rank with one of the great foreign policy blunders in American history. That blunder was so bad, we still don't know how bad it's going to be when all is said and done. When the president made the ridiculous decision to not get a continuing forces agreement, a status of force agreement, with this fledgling brand new Iraqi government, he took no as an answer from the very first time he heard it from I don't even know that it was the prime minister. And he left. Everyone in Iraq was doomed. The America, and George H.W. Bush did the same thing. He got Iraq and the Republican Guard out of Kuwait and stopped. He should have never stopped. He should have gone directly to Baghdad and ended the Saddam Hussein regime. We should have done that. We did not press that advantage. We left him in power, and it was a huge error. Politically expedient, politically savvy, politically smart. But look at what we've got because of it. We had to go back again. And now we're going to have to go back again. And I'm not sure that we're going to have the kind of time necessary to spin up the forces necessary to take care of ISIS after President Obama leaves office. I don't believe this man is going to be forced into putting American troops back into Iraq, but maybe he will. General David Petraeus finally got so bad. He stepped out of his private disgrace, I guess, and started talking again about what needs to happen in Iraq. If I was in power in the United States, I would absolutely rescind that man's retirement. I'd bring him back. I'd tell him to fix it, and then I'd give him the troops to fix it and all the support necessary to fix it. And I would say, go and eradicate ISIS within the territorial bounds of Iraq. And then what I would do is I'd have those forces poised on the western border of Syria. And what I'd do is I'd land the the 1st Marine Division, the Big Red One, on the beaches of northwest Syria, and I'd have those two meet in the middle. But that is a 40 to 60-year project, Jim. But at the end of it, we have a Middle East that's based on something else besides sand. But if we're not there to stop Iran from moving forward with nuclear weapons, Israel will obliterate that country. They'll have to. Just for their very existence, they will have to. And they'll start with Tehran and their 8.5 million people living there. And they'll be there. It won't be like I keep saying on the Wells Report. There won't be any weird shaped buildings in that plane. It'll be a giant glass bowl of nothing. And this is all being perpetrated because President Obama is reliving the heyday of the anti-war movement during Vietnam. And I'm sorry, he's not qualified. In 1968, I was 10. He's younger than me. Unbelievable. Speaking of malfunctioning baby boomers, let's have a big round of applause for Hillary Rodham Clinton, who decided to go to Texas Southern University and talk to about 2,000 people and tell them that they're all being disenfranchised by the evil Republican Party and white men. And she throws out the most divisive, American-hating speech that any 2016 presidential candidate will ever deliver between now and the election, and nobody said a word except for a few people saying, "My goodness sakes, that was very divisive." Yeah, okay. Yeah. Tearing the country to pieces so that you might have a chance to be elected by the ragged parts is not a presidential campaign. It is not a precursor to a presidential administration. It is destroying the country so that you can preside over the ashes. I have, for the most part, been able to look at Hillary Clinton as a dreamer, somebody who has no real business whatsoever as president of the United States. But now what she's doing is she's going out there and she is talking about how terrible the government has been and the evil Republicans, and she forgot one small little thing. In the last 24 years, 2/3 of those years have been run by Democrats. 2/3. 8 years in the middle. I don't know when America's African-American community is going to wake up. I don't know. But it'll be a great day when it happens. The Senate wants the Pentagon to stop paying the National Football League to publicly salute soldiers, hold pregame re-enlistment ceremonies, and perform on-air American flag rollouts. The chamber approved an amendment from Senator John McCain, Jeff Flake, and Richard Blumenthal to the annual defense authorization bill that would not only end this practice, but require NFL teams to return the millions in past payments and give them instead to charities supporting troops, veterans, and their families. This practice, which has been dubbed pay for patriotism by critics has cost the DOD nearly $7 million over the last 3 years, according to John McCain. He blasted the practice, saying the teams duped the American public. Every fan, whether united by team or divided by rivalry, comes together to thank those who have served and sacrificed on our nation's behalf. That's why I and many Americans were shocked and disappointed to learn that several NFL teams were not sponsoring these activities out of the goodness of their hearts, but were doing so to make an extra buck. Senator McCain, these men are capitalists. They are in it for the money. The Pentagon offered it. They took it. It's the American way. Don't bark at these teams and their owners. You got a problem? Bark at the Pentagon. And by the way, as somebody in the advertising business, albeit maybe a little peripherally, I think that was a great move by the Pentagon. It's a great move by the Pentagon to sponsor race car teams. And yes, to do what's necessary to get in front of 100,000 people at a pop to be able to share the incredible, heartwarming stories of people who are joining the military and people who already have. Yes, I understand it may offend your sense of commerce. But capitalism is part of the American way, just as big a part as the part the soldiers and airmen and Marines and sailors play. Okay? It's why we do all this. And oh, by the way, I remember a time when NFL teams did a whole lot of that without getting paid. Forgive me, sir. God bless you for your service to this great nation. But on this particular issue, I believe you're wrong. My name's Wells. That's my opinion. You're listening to the Wells Report. This is 660 AM The Answer. Coming up in just a couple of seconds, we've got an appeal for some kids who could really use your help. Please listen carefully as we talk about how you can help some kids in Haiti. You're listening to the Wells Report. This is 660 AM The Answer. We'll be back with more in just a moment.
With everything going on, Bill Bennett doesn't understand the president's approval rating.
Losing ground with ISIS. The economy still has not recovered. Race relations are worse. Crime is going up. Not many signs of a serious recovery, more pessimism about the future. I think its approval rating ought to be 0, but it's 47%.
Bill Bennett's Morning in America, weekday mornings at 5, right before the Mark Davis Show at 7 on 660 AM.
Check. Do you have any idea what the results of President Obama's last physical examination were? On the next edition of the Wells Report, we're going to spend a little bit of time talking about the amazing inspection of Republican presidential candidates in absence of anything remotely resembling that on the part of the media covering. Let me try this again. Do you know the results of President Obama's latest colonoscopy? Neither do I. We sure knew about President Bush's latest colonoscopy, but for some reason we don't get to know about President Obama's. But if you are a Republican and you're running for president, we get to know almost everything about you, like how many speeding tickets your wife got. What is this, some sort of jerkwater little magazine from Iowa? No, it's the New York Times. Are we just going a little bit too far in trying to embarrass our Republican presidential candidates? Yeah. And what does it mean? We'll tell you next time on the Wells Report. Hey, you guys, Jeff, stay right there, okay? I want to talk to you a little bit before I go. So just stay right there, okay? Hate it. I don't care whether you hate it if I say okie dokie marks. I don't care. Who runs out of time? He runs out of time? What are you talking about? All right, I'll be with you in just a couple of minutes. Okay, here we go. Mark Davis, you incredible human being. Good Monday morning. Thank you very much for this opportunity to tell people Mark Davis, you incredible human being. Thank you very much for this opportunity to tell people what's coming up on the Monday edition of the Wells Report a little bit later on this evening. We're going to talk a little bit about the ridiculousness of the biased and corrupt mainstream media. Do I really care about how many speeding tickets Mrs. Marco Rubio has? Mrs. Marco Rubio has? No. Why are we trying to make our why is the mainstream media trying to make our Republican presidential campaign? Why is the mainstream media trying to make our Republican presidential dang it? Why is the mainstream media trying to make our Republican presidential candidates look like fools? Look, these people are trying to lead the nation in a way that hasn't been done in at least 6 years. How about reporting the story and not trying to be stupid? I'll tell you more later. No, I'm going to do this whole thing over again. I'm ranting. Mark Davis, thanks very much for this opportunity to tell people what's coming up on the Wells Report a little bit later on this evening. We're going to be talking about the New York Times' latest journalistic gaffe. That's the best way I can say it, unless I wanted to say corrupt, biased, propagandist move in giving us the driving record of Mrs. Marco Rubio. Really? Is that all you can report on Marco Rubio? He said brilliant things about what he wants to do as president, but all you can report, the New York Times, is Mrs. Marco Rubio's driving record. You've got to be kidding. We'll tell you what that means for 2016, and it means a lot next time on the Wells Report. All right, you crazy people. All right, now, this is my favorite part of the show, just kidding. It's not the favorite part. I mean, you're killing me here. Okay, so I'm going to say the number 1. When I say the number 1, you guys say the number 2. Well, actually, no. I can watch it. Okay, so I'll tell you what. I'm just going to type with you. Here we go.